So guys, I have a theory.
Awesome.
You guys want to hear? I have a theory. Who here wants to hear what my theory is? Okay. The sheikhs, you can also agree with me, this theory is true at all. So, my theory is this. Whenever there's a big event, for any Calgary event, the speaker always has to say salam twice to get the audience. Is this true or not? But today, on this historic day of the Youth Seerah Conference 2024, I want every single one of you guys to prove me wrong. So today, I give you permission to prove me wrong here. So, inshallah, I want us all, when I say salam, for the first time, I want us all to reply back on the first try. Can we do that?
Inshallah.
Inshallah?
Yeah.
Shaikh, I don't think that's convincing. Shaikh said it's not convincing. Guys, can we do this? Inshallah. Alright. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Shaikh, I think that's acceptable. Inshallah. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. Once again, on this historic day, the third annual Youth Seerah Conference, one of the biggest events that is held for the youth. We're here today to enjoy, to benefit, to listen, to learn from both the youth and from our esteemed guest speakers as well. So just as a brief overview of what the program today entails for you guys. And oh boy, what an amazing program I have for you guys. First of all, in case you guys were wondering, we do actually have raffle draws. However, I won't tell you guys when I'm doing it. So that way, you guys have to pay attention the entire time. So if you miss it, khalas, it's done. You guys lost it. No more second tries. So that's your cue, inshallah, to make sure that you're paying attention for the entire program, because you never know. You never know when I'm going to do it. But with that, the agenda is as follows. Inshallah, right after I conclude here, we'll have a guest speech by Shaikh Ali Nasser. After that, we'll have the presentation from our post-secondary students. Then we will have Asr break, followed by a Kahoot. SubhanAllah. So for the kids, make sure that you ask permission from your parents to be able to use their phones to be able to join the Kahoot, inshallah. So that's the task I'm doing to all the kids here. And then we'll have a guest speech by Shaykh Abdul Rahman. And then, last but not least, we'll have the distribution of the awards. So with that, I would like to invite Brother Shafiq to come to the stage and actually introduce our amazing and esteemed speaker, Shaykh Ali Nasser. So with that, I would invite Brother Shafiq up to the stage.
Assalamu alaikum. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, it is my honor and privilege to introduce our next keynote speaker for today's event, Shaykh Ali Nasser. Shaykh Ali Nasser is Director of Youth Affairs and Education at Islamic Information Society, Calgary. Shaykh Ali Nasser has built his life around his passion for learning and teaching Islam. In 2008, he traveled to Malaysia, where he studied at the International Islamic University of Malaysia. It is there that he completed his associated degree in the Arabic language. He later earned a scholarship to the Islamic University of Medina and graduated with a BA in Islamic Theology and Missiology. Shaykh Ali Nasser currently serves as Imam at the Islamic Information Society of Calgary and Director of Youth Affairs at Al-Kaif Youth Center. He also works with Palliser regional schools, allowing him to reach many Muslims, youth throughout the community. Today, he graciously accepted our invitation to share their knowledge and wisdom with us as we embark on this journey of learning and inspiration. I encourage you all to open your minds and heart to the valuable insight that our keynote speaker is about to impart. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Shaykh Ali Nasser.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. I had to say it twice. So nice, I had to say it twice, mashallah. Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. We begin by praising and thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for being here this afternoon. You know, if people really truly understood who Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam truly is, we would need a much larger hall. We would need a much larger facility. But in seeing where we are today, it makes us grateful that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us the insight and the guidance and the ability to recognize the status and the virtue of this man sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I want to begin with giving you glad tidings from this man alayhi salatu wassalam. And this is a very, very beautiful gift, where he says alayhi salatu wassalam, كل أمتي يدخلون الجنة إلا من أبى. That's my whole ummah. This is what the Prophet is saying. My ummah in its entirety will enter into Jannah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to be from the ummah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. But then he says, إلا من أبى. Except for the one who refuses. And the companions, when they hear this, they can't understand. So they ask the Prophet ﷺ, قالوا يا رسول الله ومن يأبى? Who would deny, who would refuse to enter through the gates of Jannah? And then the Prophet ﷺ, he gives us the insight. قال من أطاعني دخل الجنة ومن عصاني فقد أبى. The one who obeys me, meaning my sunnah, they will enter into Jannah. And the one who refuses to follow my sunnah, my way, my path, my teaching, my guidance, he insisted to refuse to enter into Jannah. So what do we learn here? That Jannah is within our hands. Jannah is within our hands. It is within our capacity to acquire Jannah. Sometimes we think Jannah is something so far, but in reality it is so close. And there is nothing that is closer to us than the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. If we take a look at our shahada, our testimony of faith, it is actually broken down into two testimonies. The first of which is our testimony in recognizing the right of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be worshipped and worshipped alone. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan Rasulullah. That is the total testimony. But the first is recognizing the unity of Allah's right to be worshipped alone. And it also highlights the importance of the Quran, because the Quran is the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Whereas the second testimony, وَأَشْهَدُ أَنَّ مُحَمَّدًا عَبْدُهُ وَرَسُولُهُ, is highlighting our acceptance of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as a prophet, as a messenger. And that actually comes with implications. When we say that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam is our prophet, it's not just recognizing him as Rasulullah, as Khatam al-Nabiyyin, as Khayru Khalqillah. But it comes with more responsibility. And from that responsibility is understanding that his way is the best way. His teachings, his statements, his actions, his decisions, those are the pieces of guidance that we need in our life. And if we forsake them, if we forsake this guidance of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, listen to what Imam Malik rahimahullah he says. He says the sunnah Imam Malik rahimahullah, he says the sunnah, the way of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, is like Safinat Nuh, is like the Ark of Noah. And he goes on to say that whoever gets on board will find salvation. They will find refuge. They will reach their destination. But the one who refuses to get on board, they will drown and they will be destroyed. That is the guidance of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. وَمَا آتَاكُمَ الرَّسُولُ فَخُذُوهُ وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا. What the Prophet ﷺ has given you and your family and this ummah, then take it, because know that it is the best of guidance. فَخُذُوهُ وَمَا نَهَاكُمْ عَنْهُ فَانْتَهُوا. And that which He has forbidden you to indulge in, or to perform, or to associate with, فَانْتَهُوا, leave it aside. What you see in society today, what the youth are experiencing online or at school, فَانْتَهُوا, all of this peer pressure, all of this temptation, فَانْتَهُوا, اتَّقُوا اللَّهِ, and have taqwa of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Be conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because it is only when we hold on to the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam will we find rectification in our lives and within our community. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He mentions this in the Quran. When He speaks of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, هُوَ الَّذِي بَعَثَ فِي الْأُمِّيِّينَ رَسُولًا مِّنْهُمْ. Allah is the one who chose Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam from this specific demographic of people. يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِهِ. And He reveals to them the Quran from way of Jibreel alayhi salam. وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ. And He purifies their hearts with this pure word of Allah. But they need to learn how to use the word of Allah, how to implement the word of Allah. So He gives him hikmah. وَإِن كَانُوا مِن قَبْلُ لَفِي ضَلَالٍ مُبِينٍ. So in this verse, Allah is describing the sunnah as hikmah, as wisdom. And wisdom is something that is very unique. And it is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not give to everybody. A lot of people may have knowledge, but not a lot of people walk with wisdom. And wisdom is to do the right thing at the right time, in the right place, in the right way. And there is nothing that will give us that guidance more clearer than the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. We would not even be able to digest the word of Allah without the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. You know what's crazy and mind-boggling? Outside of our masajid, you will have individuals who will stand with signs that say sunnah is not correct, or sunnah is not authentic, or hadith is not authentic. And I even saw this when I was downtown and we were doing the rally for our brothers and sisters in Palestine. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless and honor and raise the ranks of our sisters and brothers in Palestine. But you see this man, and may Allah guide him. I'm not angry with him. I'm angry with what he is doing. I am upset because he is misguided in this regard. And he stands there with a sign that says and that belittles the sunnah. Little does he know he is belittling, even though he is trying to, he is not, but he is trying to belittle the Prophet ﷺ and his status and what he came with. And I say to him, who taught you how to pray? Because the Quran only tells us to pray. But it is Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam who taught us how to pray. Sallu kama ra'aytumuni usalli. Right? What about zakat? What about how much zakat are you going to give? The Quran doesn't tell us how much. The Quran tells us the categories of the people we give zakat to, but it doesn't tell us where did you learn how to give zakat. Hajj, yes, it is mentioned in the Quran, but the manasiks from A to Z are not there. خُذُوا عَنِّي مَنَاسِكَكُمْ, the Prophet ﷺ said. You want to perform Hajj? Then do it the way I did. So how can we be negligent of this tradition. It is the Quran as the primary source of knowledge in our faith, and it is the Sunnah as our secondary source of knowledge. And we cannot understand one without the other. We cannot understand one without the other. We have to honor this sunnah, and we have to instill it in our children. It is not enough that you name your kid Muhammad ﷺ as a sign of your love. I'll be very clear. And we see this a lot in many communities. You know, every kid, including the women, will have Muhammad ﷺ somewhere in their name. Muhammad in the name. Out of their love. Because they love Muhammad ﷺ, they want to incorporate that name within those whom they love. But that's not enough. That's not enough. Actions, they say this, brothers and sisters. Actions speak louder than words. We need to start teaching our kids the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Teach ourselves the sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We live very busy lives, many of us. And sometimes because we become so busy, we lose that connection of spirituality. Meaning we feel as if we've neglected our deen because of, the responsibilities we are carrying on our shoulders. We're so busy, we don't have time to make it to the masjid. We're so busy, we don't have time to make it to the conference. We're so busy, we don't have time to even make it for Jum'ah. We're so busy, I'm busy. How do I maintain my spirituality if I'm somebody who is so busy? I will give you one word. Sunnah. If you want to incorporate God in your life, then follow the sunnah. Because the Prophet ﷺ has provided us a sunnah in every aspect and in everything that we do. When I wake up in the morning, what is the sunnah? Alhamdulillah alladhi ahyana ba'da ma amatana wa ilayhi an-nushur. Then I get up and I go to the bathroom and I walk in with my left foot. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-khubthi wal khaba'ith. I do what I need to do. I make my wudu inside of the bathroom. I'm remembering Allah. I walk out. Ghufranik. I go and I eat, Bismillah. I finish eating, Alhamdulillah alladhi at'amana wa saqana wa ja'alana min al-muslimin. I leave my house, Bismillah, tawakkalna ala Allah wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. I get in my car, Subhanalladhi sakhara lana hadha wa ma kunna lahu muqrinin. Every aspect of my life, I'm incorporating the sunnah, the statements of the Prophet ﷺ in my life. I'm not missing out on a second. Everything I'm doing is going back to the Prophet ﷺ in his way. Because as they say, it's his way or the highway, and we choose. It's his way or the highway. To all the young brothers here, I see you, many of you, mashallah, you're dressing up and you look nice and fresh. I see somebody, I saw a brother, who's wearing some nice Jordans, he looks good. And you know what the Jordans on the feet, they usually say to the brother, they say, everybody wants to be like Mike. But I think this conference, inshallah, subhanahu wa ta'ala, should remind us that everybody doesn't want to be like Mike. But we want to be like Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He is our airness. He is the greatest there is, as they say, the greatest there was, and the greatest there ever will be. That is our Prophet ﷺ. And only when we hold fast and tight to his sunnah does that greatness impact our lives. It is my honor and it is my pleasure to be here today. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to allow this conference to be a means of drawing closer to the love of Muhammad ﷺ, and to the organizer, and to all the judges, and to everybody involved, from the volunteers all the way from the top to the bottom. I pray that you drink from the hawd of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Because the scholars, Ibn Qayyim, he says that the Prophet, he owns two lakes, two hawd, two. One in this dunya and one in the akhirah. And if we want to reach the one in the akhirah, we have to reach it first in the dunya. And that lake and that hawd and what we drink from and that gives us spiritual life is his sunnah. And when we meet the Prophet ﷺ in the akhirah, it is only those who reached the lake of sunnah who will reach the lake in which they quench their thirst, and they will never be thirsty again. And some of the narrations, they say, it is the Prophet ﷺ himself who will give you that drink from his own hand. But it'll only be those who held tight and close to his sunnah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala honor us with the sunnah in our statements and in our actions. Wa jazakum Allahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
To honor our beloved guest speaker here with a clap for them, let's have another round of applause for him.
MashaAllah. 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 Alhamdulillah.
So one more round of applause for them.
Jazakallah khairan. Shukran.